We're going to go ahead and get started. So just to let you know, we bought the number of pizzas based on the people that signed up. So we're going to do a raffle of pizza probably after, just to let you know. And you will hear us pushing pizza all night, so I'm just letting you know that. We don't want to take it home. Thank you again for coming. My name is Scott Pickett. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services in the district in Western Placer. With me today and helping me present is Jennifer Clemenson. She is one of our educational specialists that focuses on literacy. So we are glad that you came, glad that you're able to, and appreciate you being willing to spend some time with us and how to share some information about ethnic studies, a new course that we offered as an elective course for next year. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. What I would like to do is just quickly go over the agenda for tonight. We're going to start by just presenting information about ethnic studies. And we're going to talk a lot about why ethnic studies, and there's various reasons we're going to go over for that. We're going to talk about what it is, and we're going to talk about how it's going to be presented, how it's going to be taught, and kind of what our plans are for the future. And we're going to have a little bit of a break. And during the break, we have down here question half sheets of paper. What we'd like you to do is come down, and we're going to break for about 10 minutes, give you time to come down, write some questions. We're going to have everybody who wants to write as many questions. One question per sheet would be great. And then we'll organize those questions and then answer the questions and be able to just kind of organize them, sort them so that we can have some of the questions together. During those 10 minutes, we encourage you to go out and have some pizza break because it's going to be really good for you to eat pizza. And then after the questions and answers, we'll be finished. And we'll probably finish somewhere around 7:15 maybe. That's kind of the plan. But again, it depends on how many questions and our discussion and where it goes. So thank you again, and we'll go ahead and, I think that's all right. That was good. I didn't even touch that in a minute. All right, so first we want to talk about why. Oftentimes people are doing things, but they want to know why are we doing this. And so this ethnic studies course, the why behind it, these are really the reasons as to why. One is to just provide curriculum that helps to promote belonging and address the district mission. And the district's mission aligns with the things that we're trying to accomplish in ethnic studies. In addition, we want to teach students about local history. Part of ethnic studies, part of what we're going to include is some local history, and you'll see how we'll do that, but we're going to include some local history in this course. Additionally, we're going to talk about the why related to district data, and specifically student district data, and we'll share with you what that data looks like and the ethnic studies and why it will be helpful. We're also going to talk about Assembly Bill 101. Assembly Bill 101 is the bill that talks about having an ethnic studies course. And then we're also just going to share a short little quote on some research about the benefits of ethnic studies. So each subsequent slide is going to talk about each one of these bullets. And so we'll go ahead and get started with the first one, which is the curriculum and what it does.
All right, so first of all, we're really excited to be able to offer this course for our students and for our community. This course has been shown to be great for students and their engagement. It explores diverse perspectives and experiences, and our goal is for all of our students to understand each other better, to understand each other's backgrounds and where they're coming from, and to create a better sense of belonging for everyone. It teaches about differences and challenges, but also where we can find common ground. And then it really, again, does aim to make school more engaging and meaningful, and for students to have a stronger connection here at school.
So I want to talk a little more about engaging, that last bullet that was on that last slide. This is district data. Oh, that's right. This is district data. This data, or this information, relates to a student survey that our students took last year. It's a survey that we're going to administer every year. We have to have student survey data every year now. We are required to do that. But I would just say additionally, this information is very helpful. It gives us data for the schools, and it gives us data for the district. And it helps us to know how we're doing with students. how well they're engaged, how well they feel connected to school, and how well they feel connected to the district and to their community. So I want to talk a little bit about this data and just point out some things. If you look at the two bars under each, S1 stands for statement 1, S2 is statement 2, and on and so forth. If you look at, there's two bars, color bars. One is blue, and the blue bars are for all students of the district. So this is the data and how students scored for all bars, or for all students. The red is for students of color. So we want to just point out or just identify, the data shows us also how this study or how this course can be very helpful for us and why it can be a benefit of all students, but additionally as well students of color. So if you look at the first S1 statement 1, students perceive themselves as engaged with their school and education. You can see there is a bit of a difference. It's not a large difference, but there is a difference between all students and students of color. And as you look all the way across, statement 2, students feel they receive support and personal attention from their teachers. And so you can see a big difference or a discrepancy between that. Statement 3, we're leading to students believing that schools foster a culture of respect and fairness. You can see that there is somewhat of a difference, not a big gap, but somewhat of a difference between all students and students of color. And then you look at the next 3 and you can see a much larger gap. Statement 4 says students feel safe during school. Statement 5, I feel safe from harm while in my classes. And statement 6 is, in my school there are clear rules against hurting other people. Now, I will tell you, the last one in particular, there are rules, and maybe we haven't made them clear, but we do not want students hurting each other. But I would also say that this is their perception, this is what they perceive, and so we need to address that perception as well. Whatever that is and however we need to address it, it does need to be addressed. But the key for this is just understanding and seeing the discrepancy between all students and students of color, and there is a large gap and a large difference between those. And so this is another reason as to the why of ethnic studies, and having that kind of course here will help students feel more connected to not only the class, but to each other, and hopefully it will help alleviate some of this discrepancy as well. Wait, sorry. I just explained that, sorry, on previously, but you can see it shows stronger school connections with safety, and that all students need that. I'm not just one set of students, but all students. But you can see the greater need with students of color. They're experiencing greater need for support, greater need of connection with their classes, with their teachers, and feeling a sense of safety.
All right, so about 4 years ago, AB 101 was signed into law, and this law is the law that made ethnic studies a graduation requirement for high school graduation. And so with this law comes a pretty specific timeline. And so that's what this slide is showing you, is just what that timeline is. So starting this coming school year, during the 25-26 school year, all schools in California must offer at least a semester-long ethnic studies course. And then ethnic studies becomes a graduation requirement for the class of 2030. So those are our current 7th graders. And so for our current 7th graders, they must take ethnic studies. It is mandatory for them, and then for all classes following them. Oh, this is me too. All right. And so in addition to that law and this very specific timeline, there is also a lot of research about ethnic studies. So ethnic studies has been around since the 1960s, offered beginning at the college level, but over the last decade it has been offered more and more frequently at the K-12 level. And so there has been quite a bit of research done, and it really shows that ethnic studies courses foster that cross-cultural understanding between students of color and white students, and it also aids students in valuing their own cultural identity. And it helps students to appreciate differences and to help build that foundation of understanding and communication and knowledge.
All right, so now we want to just go into talking a little bit about the what of ethnic studies, what it is, and also what it is not. And then we're just going to talk about also who will be teaching this course. So I'm going to go back to Jennifer real quick.
All right, so our ethnic studies course there is so much that can be covered in this course. It can be a really robust course, and we are currently working on building that course. Right now we're working on the outline, and then we will move into creating those day-to-day lesson plans and the specifics that students will be getting into in their classroom. So part of what is included in ethnic studies is learning about different cultures and histories, but really focusing on those cultures and histories that are often left out of your typical history class and your typical history textbooks. It is understanding experiences of diverse groups and also to challenge stereotypes that come with different groups. This course does explore how race, gender, and class shape people's lives in society. And then one of the things that we are really going to try to focus on in every single unit in this course is discovering those often overlooked contributions of people. We want to really celebrate and uplift and celebrate the contributions from various groups. And then again, one of the things that we're going to work on when we're developing those day-to-day lesson plans is skill building with students. So how building specific skills for students to be able to engage positively in our diverse world. So helping students learn how to have productive, engaging conversations about topics that can be frankly quite difficult for a lot of us, even as adults. And so we're going to really work on building those skills for our students.
One of the things that we've come across and that we've heard from people and concerns is that as we approach this topic and as we talk about these things related to different ethnicities, that certain people might be demonized or shamed because of things in the past, that there might be a lot of blaming going on and those sorts of things. That is not our goal, that's not our intent, and that's not what we want from this course. We do want an accurate portrayal. Part of this course includes history, and so we want an accurate portrayal of the challenges and the experiences of people of different ethnicities. But the goal is not to stand and to shame people or talk about why one group did something and focus on the shaming of one group or another. The goal is to really help people understand and gain a greater understanding of one another. The other side of this and the other comments that we have heard and that I have heard is a concern about promoting some political agenda as we present ethnic studies, as we talk about people of different ethnicities. And again, the goal is to not promote any kind of political agenda. It is to inform, it's to educate, and then it's also to provide an opportunity for students to learn from each other and be able to, in a very productive way, have discussion and learn from each other. This is important, and it provides an opportunity for students to grow, to gain understanding. I will share you a very quick personal story. I grew up 10 miles from Tijuana in Chula Vista, California. You ready for Chula Vista? All right, thank you. Yes, we have somebody. Thank you, all right. So I grew up in Chula Vista, and Chula Vista is 10 miles from Tijuana. I had a perception, and it would be whatever it was when I was a high school student, kind of a punky high school student, people from Mexico. And then, about 2 years later, I spent a year and a half living in Mexico, learning Spanish, and learning Spanish from pretty much nothing. And learned Spanish, spent time in homes of people and families, and my perception changed. And it changed because I learned, and I gained knowledge and understanding, and I met and got to know people. The people of Mexico, I will just share this with you, are some of the most amazing people ever. And so as are the people here in the United States and people in other countries. But I came because of my personal knowledge and because of my personal experience. I realize we can't send kids out to countries to live for a year and a half to gain that understanding. But we hope that through ethnic studies, through educating, and through informing, and through discussion and understanding, we can bring about greater understanding of one another. I will just add one more point to this, because I know this is a concern with a lot of people, is that our hope is that as we increase understanding and as we increase mutual respect through that understanding, that it will increase unity and greater unity among the students and among the schools and among the school community. And we want people to feel accepted and feel and be a part of the community, and that is really our goal and what we hope to accomplish with this. The next one, real quick, we just wanted to add in here because we had a bunch of questions last night that we wanted to just clarify, and so we threw this slide in for tonight. Who will teach ethnic studies? Teachers that are already here on campus, credentialed teachers with a social science credential are the ones that the state has said are qualified to teach that. And so our plan is to have social studies or social science teachers do that. We'll talk a little bit more about what that might look like and how that will affect current course offerings the kids are taking right now.
All right, so a little bit about how we're going to implement ethnic studies over the next couple of years. So this next school year, ethnic studies will be offered as an elective course, so students will have the opportunity to enroll. It will be a semester-long course, so that's something that students, I believe, are starting that process of deciding which classes they're interested in taking this coming school year. And then once it is a required course, again, this is for the class of 2030, so our current 7th graders, this course will be taught in the 9th grade year, and so this will begin the following school year during the 26-27 school year. And the current plan is to pair it with state requirements. So right now, the current schedule state requirements is paired with geography. So ethnic studies will take the place of our current geography course, and that is where it is slated to be in the course schedule. So if you have current students here, you're probably familiar with that already, so you have an idea of what that will look like.
We recognize also that we want students to be able to still understand maps and geography and where things are. And so our goal is to hopefully increase geography, not only throughout high school, but also in middle school, and we'll talk with our social science teachers about that. So what we want to do now is we want to just go through what we have developed so far. And we haven't developed a lot. There's a lot still to develop in this course, but we have created a course outline, and we are still working on that and still revising it. We're still having people provide some input for that, but we want to share with you what we have so far. And so as we go through this next part, you see the numbers down the side. These are different sections of the course outline that we have created so far. We have a course overview, then we have an introduction to ethnic studies. That's kind of an introductory unit. And then we have our first unit, which is culture and identity. And our next unit, which is origins, movements, and migration. Societal structures and their effect are the next unit. Societal, the social movements and community organizing, and then the final project. And what we're going to share with you tonight is just a synopsis of what we have for each one of those units and what we've created. And so I'm going to talk to you about the course overview. What we want with the course overview, what that's going to cover, is really just the history and diverse perspectives of people of different ethnicities. We're going to talk about their achievements of different people of different ethnicities and racial groups. And we're going to talk about that related to on a national, on a statewide, and a local community level. And our goal is to infuse some community history into each one of these units so that we're also learning about the local community and the history of not just Lincoln, but also Placer County, and the various ethnic groups that have resided here. We feel like that local history will help our students gain a sense of pride and understanding about where they live and what's happened here in the past. Additionally, they're going to learn about different cultural traditions and also just what and how communities have contributed to our society. And the goal is so that students will better understand and appreciate diverse populations. We really want an appreciation, and we want an understanding, again, to build unity. And then in addition to that, we also want students to develop skills to engage positively with different communities and become more informed, active members of our society, which is very multicultural. It might not be as much in Lincoln or in parts of Lincoln, but as kids grow up and move to different places, it will be very culturally diverse for some of them especially. But we want them to develop skills to be able to connect and to engage positively with students and with people of all different ethnicities.
All right, so this is a semester-long course. So as we're talking about these units, this first unit we're going to talk about is the Introduction to Ethnic Studies. This one is about a week long. So this is really just to help students figure out like what is ethnic studies, why am I in this classroom, what are we going to be doing all semester, look at their syllabus. And then a big part of this week is to really start building those relationships and building that classroom community. So this is a class where students will be gaining skills on how to have difficult conversations and talk about topics that can sometimes be a little tricky to talk about. And so it is crucial that in these classrooms that sense of community is built so that students feel safe and feel comfortable engaging in these topics and navigating things in a way that is productive and helpful to each other. And so in this first week, they'll work together to create classroom guidelines and again have those respectful discussions. They'll work on how to listen to different viewpoints and how to respond, again, productively to those. And again, this week is really about building that supportive environment so students can work together throughout the semester. And then each of the subsequent units is about 3 weeks long, just to give you an idea of that as we move through them.
The next unit is culture and identity, and this is going to be an opportunity for students to really come to explore themselves and really understand what shapes person identity. What are the things in the lives of an individual that affect and help shape that identity? What's family background? What are cultural traditions? What also is the local and larger community influences on that individual? They're also going to, through discussions, they're going to be able to reflect on their own background, their own experiences, and understand themselves and their classmates as well. And then they're going to create, kind of one of the projects for this unit is creating a personal statement, an essay that we want them to make it so that it's usable for something, excuse me, that they might need to possibly either in a job application, but I know so many universities and colleges require some type of personal statement. And we want this to be a part of and help kind of be a springboard to them writing that when they're looking to go off to college or apply for different universities.
All right, our next unit is Origins, Movements, and Migration. And this is one of the more history-heavy units, so students will be learning a lot about history of various ethnicities and ethnic groups in this unit. And so they'll learn about different groups' experiences and how different groups moved and reasons why they came here to America and then also here to California and Northern California. Part of this unit will also be discussing the unique perspective of Native Americans who were already here when those migrations were happening and the impact on their lives. Students will study the migration movement and just how that has shaped our communities. And this will focus on the challenges and achievements of these different groups of people. Some people have asked, like, what does that actually look like? So as an example, something that could be included in this unit, we know in our history during World War II, we had Japanese internment camps here in California. And we had a large Japanese population in California, and specifically in this area. And so there are stories of specific families that were interred and then came back specifically to Lincoln. And so finding those stories and connecting students to those stories so that they can learn about that history, but also be more engaged and make that connection of something like this is something that happened right here in our community. And this is how that community is currently engaging here in Lincoln. So as part of this unit, students will be creating a visual project. So they will look at more deeply into one of these stories, one of these migration stories. This could be something, some students are really connected to their own family history and their own family cultural background. And so students that have that will be able to pull from their own stories to connect to this project. Not every student has that, and so there will also be opportunities for students to connect to other local community stories so that we will have opportunity for all students to engage in this project and do a little bit of research and learn more and then create some sort of visual project. There will be a variety of options for students to engage with this in a way that's meaningful to them.
So the next unit is societal structures and their effect. So what we want to talk about in this unit relates to challenges that different groups have faced through history. We do some of this already, and we talk about this in history. We talk about it in history in 5th grade quite a bit, in U.S. history with Native Americans. We talk about it in 8th grade. We talk about it in 11th grade. It's already talked about a lot. We will continue that discussion and talk a little bit about that. But the other part we want to make sure that we emphasize and focus on is the end of that statement, which is talking about how these groups overcame obstacles and made important contributions to society. We want to see positive role models, positive examples of really amazing things that people have done of different ethnicities, kind of showing these role models as these are great things that people have done and the things that they've accomplished. In addition to that, they're going to do some research and examine specific historical events, connect them to local community history. So how did a historical event connect, or how does it connect or affect the local community? And then additionally, students during this, the skills we hope that they present are some research skills, also some presentation skills, their ability to find information, to synthesize information, put it together in a way that then they can present it, and then they can present it to the class. So along with this course, we also want to develop some of these skills in students so that they have the ability to just be stronger in their ability to present, to research, to do some of these things that you'll hear about in the following units.
Okay, so the next unit is social movements and community organizing. So in this unit, students will learn about various social movements throughout history and learn about how different groups work together to create positive change in their communities. In this unit, students will also study and learn about key figures from history and how they improved conditions for workers, women, and various communities. And the focus on these people is going to be, again, on lesser known leaders who might not appear in your typical textbooks. So this shouldn't be a repeat of U.S. history. They should be learning about different stories and different leaders than they will learn about in their typical U.S. history course. So it won't be a duplication of that course. And again, students will be learning about these different social movements, and through that, they'll be able to examine how peaceful organizing and cooperation between different groups has also, again, helped shape our society and, when applicable, our local community, and how that strengthens democracy over time.
All right, so those are the units that we will have for our students. And we're going to have a final project, and currently what we have so far are the options that we have created or come up with. One is that students are going to essentially research, analyze, raise awareness about an important social movement through projects. And they're going to projects like a podcast, an infographic, which is just a pictorial representation, poems, or developing skills in public speaking, persuasion, and critical thinking. These are the skills we want students to develop as we explore this topic and explore these subjects together. In addition to that, they're going to explore current events, or another option is exploring current events to understand issues related to challenges to groups, and write reflections, discuss how these issues impact communities. And so it's going to be an in-depth discussion about that. And then another option, these are just different options. Students also, we want them to learn how to be active in their local community. And we want them to learn how to be active with their local leaders, take action by writing letters, speaking at a school board or a city council meeting. We want them to learn how to actively engage. One of the things that we see, I don't know if you see, but we see is just kind of the tuning out and the stepping away from community leaders, government leaders, and we want people, individuals, students to be engaged, to be connected, to be able to work together and to build, again, that ultimate goal, which is greater unity in the community. And so if they're engaged and more people are engaged, working together, that will happen. So that's our goal for that final project.
All right, so throughout this presentation, presentation so far, we've talked a lot about different ethnicities, and one of the questions that we get is like, well, which ethnicities are we going to be talking about? So in the ethnic studies curriculum that we've looked at everywhere, these are the 4 main ethnic groups that are covered, and these are the 4 main ethnic groups that we're going to center our course on as well. So African American, Latino, Latina American, Asian American, and Native American. And so we will be looking at the history of these different groups. We know there are a lot of subgroups within these groups. And again, this is an introduction to ethnic studies. It's a semester-long course, and so we will cover as much content and as many different groups as we can. But these are the 4 main categories of ethnicities that we'll be talking about in this class.
So one of the things that we have done is reached out to students, and we've talked to them a little bit. I don't know if how many of you are familiar with our Student Senate that Terry Callahan, our superintendent, has organized. We have a few people that have done that. So just to tell you very briefly, Student Senate, our superintendent has organized a Student Senate where there are students that are senators from each school, all the way down to and including elementary school students in grades 4 and 5. And so those student senators meet together probably about 4 or 5 times throughout the school year. And so we spent some time with our student senators talking about this, having them explore and look at the current course outline that we had, and just kind of sharing their thoughts and getting information from them. In addition to that, what we did was we had the students take a survey, and we did that in November. And then coming back at another student senate meeting, we shared the survey data with our students, and we had them also, again, discuss further about the data, further about the course outline, and then come up with some things that they saw that they said, hey, this is great, we like this. Things that said, hey, this is not great, we don't like this. Things that they wish it included more of, and then just kind of their overall fears or concerns about a course like this. And so we got that feedback along with the survey data. We're going to share that with the teacher group, these social science teachers that are creating this course outline, to make sure we include that information and we include those things in the outline. And so that's going to help teachers further develop not only the outline, but the lessons as well.
Okay, so we got input from students. We also want input from all of you. So on Monday, through Parent Square, a survey will be sent out that has similar questions, and we just really want your input. Along with the survey, there will be a link to this presentation. We are recording it right now, so there will be a link to the presentation, a link to the slide deck. So for families that weren't able to come tonight, they will be able to watch this and look at the slide deck and have that information so that they have the information they need to fill out the survey accurately. And so there's a lot of different questions that you can respond to, but the piece that I am most looking forward to on this survey is the final question. And this question is asking you to share any stories you know of. So if you know of any stories locally or more broadly that are engaged with any of these ethnicities, we would love to hear those stories. Because again, we are building the course. And one of the ideals of a great ethnic studies course is that it is responsive to the local community, and it does reflect the needs of the local community. And so we really need your input, and we really want those stories. And so we have been researching and looking for stories, but we need more. So I'm hoping that you all have something that you might know about that we don't, that you can send our way, and we can look into that for possible inclusion, of course.
So once we receive the survey data from the parents, and again, you'll see that it'll be sent out in the Parent Square. How many of you get Parent Square notifications? Right on. Okay. So it'll be sent out in the Parent Square on Monday, and that way you can complete that survey. It won't be lengthy, it won't be long. It will include a lot of the information that you saw tonight on each unit and some of the basic information that we have there. So it will include that information here, so it will look a little familiar. But we will again compile that data. The survey is going to be open for a week. It will close on Friday of next week, and then we will take that data, and again, we will share it with the teachers to help build lessons, work with the course outline, and to help integrate that into the course. There is then going to be a final approval process. The approval process will include presentation at a board meeting sometime in the spring. We'll have one meeting to just inform the board and present that for them. And then the next meeting will be an action item and the board will vote on that. So that's our process for final completion, for presentation to students in the fall. Did we? Okay, so here's the time for questions. And what we'd like you to do for questions, come on down, have sheets of paper, one question per page. Jennifer Horton, who is also one of she's our college and career coordinator, does a lot of work with high schools. She has also got some there, and you can